What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Football Game Show brought to you by Front Yard Fantasy here on Better Sports Network. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by your favorite Fun Friday co-host, Tim Wright. Atlas shrugged, then farted. Welcome in, Tim.
How's it going, boys? What a day.
Pretty good. Joining us today, making us even better, is our great friend Davis Peng. For those of you that do not know Davis, he is the daddy of best ball drafts. And if you're taking part in best ball drafts right now and not following him, you are doing yourself a disservice. You can find him on Twitter at Peng's Picks, and he is a best ball writer over at Fantasy Six Pack. Peng, thank you so much for taking the time to come and mock with us today.
I'm in between drafts right now, so I was like, yeah, it's fine. It's kind of nice to draft for free. It's been a while since I've been able to draft for free, so it's kind of cool.
This is like free best ball, but without any of the reward.
This is great. It's a good trade-off.
But I bet you're so trained at this point to have the tension of a real draft that every mock feels like a best ball tournament.
Oh my God, my squat fishbowl team is a best ball team. I drafted it like a straight up best ball team, and it was live too. So everyone's like, "What is this guy doing?" And I'm just like adding more receivers, like round to round to round.
Beautiful. Well, guys, we got some people in the chat ready for today's mock draft. Craig, our chat historian, coming in saying today's guest is making his 9th FYF appearance. Yes, that means one away from joining the double-digit club. Ooh-wee. Also, speaking of the club, of the 215 guests, non-FYF team members, thus far only 13 are in the double-digit club at this time. So that's an illustrious club to join up there. We've got NKC stopping by to say hi, and I know drafting with us today, Dame saying happy Friday, friends. What's up, Dame? Craig saying hello, chat friends. And then Mr. Scamper saying hello, Friday, FYF fam. What's up, Scampers? Meow. We got Jamie in the chat. What's up, Jamie? And Calvin stopping by to draft with us. Family fun Friday in my house. We'll keep it mostly family friendly. We'll do our best. JL stopping by in the chat. Excited to see you, Davis.
Team Daddy.
And we got Albert in here saying hello, everyone. What's up? Welcome in, Albert. And Scampers saying if you really loved us, you'd be on camera, JL. Tim, do you think Scampers has a point here?
Yeah, 100%.
Or Team Scampers on that one?
Truly seems like he doesn't love us. So
it's got to be a love thing and a love thing only. Well, guys, today we brought Davis here with all of his best ball knowledge. He's probably got more drafts this offseason in the books than all of us sitting here drafting today, to impart some of that knowledge on us in a 12-team PPR mock draft. Now, this is redraft, so it's going to be a little bit different, but Davis, I'm probably going to ask you a little bit about your best ball strategies throughout. Before we get into that, a couple reminders. First and foremost, I said it once, I'm going to say it now, and I'll probably say it at least one more time. If you're not following Davis, fix that immediately. You can find him on Twitter at Peng's Picks. It's right there below his face on the screen and also in the description to this YouTube video. If you're watching on the Front Yard Fantasy YouTube or on Better Sports Network, hit that subscribe button. It's the easiest way to show your support for what we're doing over here. And if you hit the notification bell, you'll make sure you never miss us going live every day at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And before we get started, I want to remind everyone about the Real-Time Sports Daily Pick'em contest. You can win 6 extra money with 3 correct picks and 20 extra money for 5 correct picks. It goes all the way up to 40 extra money with 6 correct picks. If you go to realtimesports.com and use code ALARM23, you can get your deposit match up to $200 and start playing over there. You guys ready to get into this draft?
Yeah. Is this Superflex? One quarterback?
This is not Superflex. This is one quarterback.
All right.
This is one quarterback. So if you think this is Superflex, you're probably going to draft a quarterback too early.
I'm going to go draft more than one quarterback.
Mahomes and Hurts fell to 11? What?
You guys ready to get in there?
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay. NKC's got the first pick. I've got number 2. Peng is right in the middle at 7, and Tim is down at 11. And a quarterback is first off the board, but you know what? I think NKC would have done that regardless. Another huge Jalen Hurts fan. Tim, we've had a very similar debate to this in the past. Because of the year that you won by a massive margin, you drafted Peyton Manning first overall in a 1-quarterback league, but it was the year he went nuclear. How do you feel about taking a quarterback that early in 1 QB leagues?
Yeah, no, I mean, you got to get lucky. That was stupid lucky. It's not probably the best idea, but I mean, Jalen Hurts is one of those guys that if you're going to do it, not in the 101, but if you want to get your guy, I'm always been a fan of getting your guy. So do what feels right.
I know Peng's about to be on the clock, so I'm not going to pull my classic ask the guest a question as soon as it's their pick. But I'm with you, Tim. The value's not there. That is not a value play. You likely could get Jalen Hurts in the next round. But if Jalen Hurts scores more fantasy points than any other player, I know value above replacement isn't there, then whatever. You got the guy that you wanted and you took him right there. But that has to happen. That's the only way that pick can work. And I know NKC down here says big Hurts fan. Big Hurts fan. Where'd you go with your first pick, Peng?
I went Bijanimus Robinson.
You're in?
I just, I know people are going to kind of crap on him for full PPR. I did just watch a video of Tyler Algier trying to catch a pass. I'm like, hey, you know what? This is fine. I don't know. I in best ball we kind of avoid RBs in round ones. Bijan's going a little bit later too, which is good. But I mean, that O-line is so strong over there. The top 5 O-line on the Falcons. So I think Bijan's going to set some gross records. We might get Saquon rookie numbers and then some. So I'm all for it. And some of the receivers that already went, are the ones I would have taken anyways. Stephon Diggs, AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb are going after. Cooper Kupp already suffered lower extremities. I'm just going to take the young guy that's probably built for 300 touches.
Is he your number 2 running back after Christian McCaffrey? Do you still have McCaffrey ahead of him?
I have McCaffrey ahead of him, especially in full PPR, but I'll take him over Eckler. I think Eckler got in the best situation he possibly could, being the number 2 pass catcher behind Josh Palmer last season. There's
a lot of targets going his way. I love the Travis Kelce pick there by Hal at number 6 overall. There is not a pick too early. Well, I will say you shouldn't have drafted Travis Kelce after what we've seen him do. Peng, are you a Travis Kelce drafter, or do you let someone else take the shot in the first round?
So in my 500 drafts that we examined yesterday on one of our shows, I have taken Kelce like 2 times. I am not a Kelce drafter whatsoever. I do think he's probably better than a lot of the people in this range. I just have a hard time taking him. I don't think I've ever won a league with a tight end in my first 2 rounds. I don't think I've ever done it.
I am addicted to drafting Travis Kelce in the first round. We got Swamp in here saying hi, Tim. Andrea saying hi, everyone. What's up, Andrea? And Twin with the yo. Tim, you started your draft double running back, Saquon Barkley, Nick Chubb in a full PPR league, but that's a hard running back duo to argue against.
Yeah, I wanted to see how this build would work out. I think there's a ton of value down deep in these wide receiver rooms. So I was thinking Waddle there, jumping over a couple people just because I want Waddle on my team. But
Waddle.
Chubb and Barkley, easy arguments to be the number 1 overall running back. So let's do it.
Is the Chubb over Taylor right now due to the potential holdout, or do you just like Nick Chubb better in that offense?
I just like Nick Chubb better. He's going to rush for 2,000 yards, and if he gets some catches in there, great. But dude's a monster, best running back in the league. Maybe not. People don't think so for fantasy, but he's a stud. Can't go wrong with him.
So Tim, I did that same thing in 2021. I was taking a lot of Nick Chubb over Jonathan Taylor. I did not win. JT decided to have 101 numbers, and I'm the one who 2 years too early, I guess.
No.
I love Nick Chubb, man. I agree with you. I think he's just so good. He's almost an Iron Man. He's missed 2 games on the season or 3 or something?
Mm-hmm.
Some low numbers, tops in the last 3 seasons. I love Nick Chubb.
Tim, I'll do it. I'll take Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, there you go.
A Justin Jefferson, Jalen Waddle start is
it's pretty hot.
We've got inverse hot teams. This is they're both really hot, but in completely different ways. Devonta Smith with the stack on the turn. Jalen Hurts plus Devonta Smith. Peng, where do you stand on Devonta Smith versus AJ Brown this season? There's a contingency that thinks Devonta Smith is the true one in that offense. Are you on board with that, or do you think AJ Brown will still be the higher fantasy finishing wide receiver?
If we're talking about full PPR, I'll take Smith. I was in on Smith coming out of last year, just saying that AJ Brown is probably going to get drafted a little too high. I expected Devontae Smith to be kind of a mid-third rounder, though, versus a 2-3 turn guy. So I think that changes a little bit. But Smith's red zone targets caught up to AJ Brown by end of season. Devontae Smith runs more routes than AJ Brown. AJ Brown's like route tree is very, very limited, and he drops screens. He drops very easy passes. And then the pick six they lost to the Saints was a slant to AJ Brown, where AJ Brown just really didn't give it a good route. And I think they're going to notice that. I think the coaching staff notices that Devontae Smith is much more of an assassin in his route tree than AJ Brown, who's a big body guy.
Absolutely. Josh Allen, I was wondering when we were going to see the next quarterback. I was tempted sitting there with that pick. Peng's back on the clock. Tim, what do you think of the start there for Z2? Christian McCaffrey, Ramondre Stevenson, then Chris Olave as the wide receiver 1.
I mean, CMC
He's
playing the whole thing.
Good
it's
football.
CMC. Like, what else can you say? Ramondre, I'm very curious about the Patriots this offseason, how they're going to transition if they do wind up using him as a bell cow back. It looks like that, but I personally can't draft Patriots players on my team. That's just the way I roll. So I think that's odd. And Olave, I think will do fine, but I would have leaned Metcalf just personally, but I don't know what this New Orleans offense is going to look like. It should be fun, but it's just curious.
There was what was the quote yesterday that came out of Patriots practice? It was Ramondre Stevenson was asked about his limited reps at practice, and he said, "You have to ask Bill Belichick." That was the only answer. And it's like, come on, don't say that right now.
That's like every answer if you're a Patriots player. Like you can't say anything else, man. Like we've seen what happens. You get sent away, or grocery store guy comes in and takes your job. Like who knows? Like, man, dude.
Just
I've seen a lot of careers go down when you say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing in the Patriots. I mean, what was it? Jonas Gray showed up late once. Like he showed up to work late one time, and then he was just out of the NFL.
Forever gone, sent to the Netherworld Football League by Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Then you followed up Bijan with Garrett Wilson and T. Higgins, 2 young wide receivers, one younger than the other. Garrett Wilson, I feel like, was the fastest riser of any player this offseason besides Bijan Robinson. How high do you have him ranked going into redraft this season in that new Jets offense?
For Garrett Wilson, I think he's being overdrafted a little bit, but you kind of have to pay the price if you want the guy. I feel like that's the case. So do I think he's better than what like Justin Jefferson and T. Higgins have kind of shown in the past? No, probably not. Right, not immediately. But we haven't seen him with a good quarterback, so who knows? He could be that good, and that's why I'm willing to pay that price and find out. He's the best weapon. He doesn't have
Aaron Rodgers' offense.
Yeah, in Aaron Rodgers' offense, and his competition isn't like that great. It's Allen Lazard, McCole Hardman, Corey Davis, like guys that I like, but all 3 guys missed good chunks of the season last year. Right? Like, so I'm gonna bet on Wilson to just show dominance.
Former first-round pick Corey Davis. Tim, you are drafting a high T team over there.
Yeah.
Having a 3rd running back on the way back, another volume guy, and then following it up with Justin Fields.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel, honestly. It's a weird looking team.
It's a 2 running back, 2 flex league, so you don't even have your flex spots filled yet. Know what I mean? Like in all of those positions, have to be started.
Am I nervous? Yes. I usually balance teams out, so I feel very icky right now.
It kind of forces your hand a little bit at a certain point, but you can also just not listen to that hand being forced and keep on rolling and pray you get lucky. We had a question in here from Grim that I'm going to throw to you guys. The Arizona Cardinals added running back Marlon Mack to the room. Peng, I'll ask you first. Do you think this has any effect on James Conner and Keontae Ingram, or is this more of a depth move for the Cardinals?
Marlon Mack was like my most rostered guy last season. As you guys remember, his season just didn't happen. He did help me win some playoffs, though. He helped me make it to playoffs in best ball. It was cool. I think it hurts Keontae, and this is kind of why I'm very huge on James Conner. He's one of my highest 500 drafts in. I have 50% of them with like James Conner and James Conner accessories, and then but like Keontae Ingram was what did he do last year? Everyone's for sure this guy's a shoe-in for RB2, but he played 6 snaps against like the 49ers or something, and that was like it, like 6 rush attempts. It was really bad, and then it was for negative yards, and I think they're just doing it because they don't trust Keontae. I don't think it has anything to do with James Conner. James Conner's on a 2-year contract. He's basically done. They can cut him next year. They can let him ride it out. Who cares? This is just more against Keontae. I just don't think they like what they got there if they're the backup.
I mean, honestly, the way they're looking this season, maybe they use Keontae because he's not that good.
I don't good there, but I would bet. I'm not betting against Conner for the work. Conner's getting paid a lot of money. Conner showed that he can be a versatile three down back in all situations, right? Yeah, with 3 different quarterbacks. I'm more worried that Keontae's probably not that good.
Yeah, if Keontae Ingram probably doesn't have enough security, that any name added to that team wouldn't make you nervous.
Surprised also, didn't go Tua for the stack there.
Yeah, I think Justin Herbert with Kellen Moore in that room could just be a recipe for an insane fantasy football season. So I grabbed him there, and I kind of wanted to experiment. If I went Tua, I would have tried to play the game one more time back around and see if he got to me. But I wanted to try going tight end and quarterback in these early rounds in a 1 QB league to see what my team ended up looking like. Because I feel like I got a tier 1 in both of those positions, but that might make the rest of my team very ugly because I do not want to draft any of the running backs that I'm looking at. Also, I see some guy FF saying rules not set up for Superflex. This is not Superflex. This is 1 quarterback that we're drafting here. But we have seen quite a few quarterbacks go early. Tim, do you generally like getting a stud QB early, or do you like waiting?
I mean, again, I like to balance draft. If there's a guy that I just like I like Justin Fields this season. I think he's going to pop off. So I took him. He's my guy. He's the one I wanted out of all those guys there. So I took him in my shot. First 5 rounds, 6 rounds, I'll generally try to get one. But you can win with guys down in the 10th, 11th. So, I mean, do what makes you feel comfortable, but I like to snag one.
We have a couple questions in here that I wanted to hit. Jamie had a question for you. Peng said, if you're not drafting Kelsey, which tight ends do you like to target? So do you have specific tight ends you're generally targeting in your best ball drafts?
For best ball, I'm taking Kittle. Like I live in Kittleville right now. I think he's amazing at what he does. He doesn't cost you too much in the grand scheme of basically just buying players. Let's see. Let me add this pick really quick. That's great. We'll just get Kittle here, right? Is that the play?
Yeah, I mean, perfect timing, right?
Yeah, I'll grab Kittle here. But I think Kittle is one of those guys that when you need him, he's just going to go off. You got games where he's streaky, and that's fine. Most tight ends are streaky. If you look at the tight end hit rate for most players, like the hit rate for like tight ends, even outside of Andrews, it's like 1 in 3 games, 1 in 4 games, right? If it's not Kelsey, that guy has a very high chance of missing per game. That doesn't mean they have less upside. It just means you can't rely on them. So I take Kittle and I stack him with 2 other guys, like maybe some Pat Freiermuth, some Dulcich, some Higbee. Higbee who is going to live at 3 yards.
Oh, sorry.
Out. I mean, you don't have to like him. Like I'm not telling you.
He got like 80 receptions last year. Like
yeah, exactly. He's just going to sit there.
90 yards.
Yeah, it's fine. He's going to get like 9 receptions for like 40 yards. Bro. It's going to be good times, but in best ball, like tight ends miss so hard. They go under 8, probably like 60 to 70% of their games. So, and then they go above 8, 30%, but they rarely go over 12. So Kittle's one of those guys that if he's doing any work, yards or touchdowns or combination, you're getting like 22, 25. And so it's good times. So I take all the Kittle right now, round 5, round 6.
Gross. Dude, the receivers around here right now are just not making me happy.
You're not interested in Michael Pittman with a rookie quarterback?
No, not quite. And a running back who isn't playing.
You don't want Mike Williams, who will play 5 games this year?
Nope.
Hey, Mike Williams is playing at least 15 games this year.
Oh my god,
Please.
that's rough. If
Please,
Mike Williams takes
Mike
15 games, then he's gonna have like his best season ever.
He'll be like
But,
wide receiver too. We've got a question in here from Jacob. Jake want to know if we could answer a keeper question. So it can only keep one. ETN in the 15th, Jacobs in the 6th, Devonta Smith in the 9th, or Fields in the 14th. All can be kept for 2 years except ETN only this year. So I'm assuming this is one quarterback if it's Fields in the 14th. Peng, who would you be keeping if these are your options and this is the information you got?
Devontae Smith.
Devonta Smith in the 9th?
Immediately. Yeah, Devontae Smith in the 9th. One quarterback, right? Like you can assume there's other quarterbacks you can find later. Fields, if he's running less than his 1,000 yards and 150 per game, I don't think he's going to get what he did last year. I have projected him to run about 500 to 700 yards, which is still amazing, but probably not the upside you're looking for. So, and Devontae Smith, like he's going round 2. He's going round 2 right now, full PPR. You're getting at round 9, which is basically a semi-dead round. That's an easy buy for me. I would buy all the Devontae Smith.
God, I keep going back and forth. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Then I'm like, ooh, but Jacobs in the 6th? Like, Jacobs could get the same volume that he got last year and just yet again show up as a top 5 PPR fantasy running back. And then ETN in the 15th, the reports coming out of camp are quieting some of the concerns that maybe he's not going to be the feature back in that offense. I think I go ETN in the 15th round. I think that's where I'm going to end up going. It's just so late.
I'm not like against it. I just think that ETN in a regular redraft where you need week to week wins, like I think he disappoints. Like I could see games where like ETN gets you like 9, right? And then like Tank Bigsby, plods his way into the end zone, and you're the one that's left hanging with that bad week.
He's got 11 points and a touchdown, and ETN has 9 points.
Yeah, right. And it feels terrible, and that's why I'm just not in on it. I think like in the 15th, that's like a really good deal. I just think if I would compare him against Smith can legitimately have you like 17 weeks of usability, and I think ETN will give you Gabe Davis running back numbers. Like it's either going to be really really good or like really really bad, and I think that's like the outcomes for it.
Tim, who are you keeping out of these options?
I mean, you get to keep him for 2 years. I would be inclined to take Devontae, but Fields for the 14th. I mean, I think the world is his oyster, right? So 2 seasons, you can get the QB1 overall potentially. I think he's got that upside in the 14th. I don't hate that. I would shy away a little bit from ETN in the 15th. Still solid value there, but I would probably leave Devontae or Fields, honestly.
Good God, Jacob. Sometimes these questions come in with keepers and it's like one great option, one good option, and 3 shit tier options. You've got like every single one of these options is at worst an A- option to keep on your team with the value that it's in there. Great work drafting and trading.
Yeah, I would say Jacobs is probably the worst option though, right?
In the 6th, it's probably the least value.
Least value. His last year was definitely the outlier, right? He's never done that amount of touches. He's never played that many amount of games. They don't want to keep him. They're putting him on a franchise tag. Like he could get run into the ground, but can his body hold up? And for all you know, mid-season, he's just like, hey guys, this isn't like worth the money. I'm just gonna Allen Robinson you and just kind of like linger on a toe injury, right? Like you can really get that. I think that's gonna be in the 6th too, where 6th round guys are valuable. But yeah, I think the other 3 are like really solid options. I think the 2-year mark is that deal breaker where I would take Fields or Smith though. Like 2 years, I get these guys are that's an automatic for me.
Took my first running back. Tim, we are drafting very similarly. We both went quarterback, tight end early, but you went 3 running backs. I went 3 wide receivers, and then we took the first at the other position.
Yep, and I kind of hate it. I like your Swift pick. I like it. I think better than I like my Mike Williams pick, but at that point, I'm kind of floundering. I need somebody.
So you believe in Swift this year? Twin had a question about how he felt about the Eagles RB group. Do you think Swift is the guy to draft there, not Mr. Penny or Kenneth Gainwell?
Yeah, I think he just got drafted into an unfortunate situation where they were clearly trying to rebuild. He wasn't that guy for them, the new direction. And now you go to the Eagles offensive line that can give him room. He doesn't have to be the massive playmaker when you have Jalen Hurts who can do, everything that he can do whenever. I think he's going to have a lot of opportunity to get open. So, yeah, I like him in the late 6th there. Yeah, I like that a lot.
And I'll draft him with the guy that is on his old team, David Montgomery. If Jamal Williams can score 17 rushing touchdowns there last season, I'm already taking a shot on David Montgomery there. He's got double-digit touchdown upside, being just even the goal line back there. Z2 following it up with Jordan Addison. And Dane came in and said Fields is a pescatarian now, so he can eat oysters now.
Heck yeah.
Do you rise or fall on him now that he's a pescatarian?
He's not even just the QB1, he's the QB1 for the next 5 seasons.
Wow. Add fish to the diet, and that's what can happen.
Yep.
What's your favorite fish dish?
I love a grilled swordfish steak, man. Those things are so good. A little bit of Cajun seasoning on that bad boy. Whew. Extra mercury poisoning.
Blew my mind the first time I had that because I was like, this is not fish. This is like meat. Yeah. It was like a hunk of meat.
I mean, you said swordfish. That's like the manliest way of saying fish. Next would be gunfish, and then that thing is probably shit up filet mignon when it comes out.
Now sawfish is like, oh, I'm just a sawfish.
Man.
Okay, so gunfish is the type of lure. There's not actually a real gunfish. Lucky Craft gunfish. Peng, your last couple picks. George Kittle, you followed up with J.K. Dobbins and then JSN. I want to ask you about that J.K. Dobbins pick. I feel like he's a player in Dynasty that has been near the top 10 of hype rankings and then hasn't been able to stay healthy. Do you think this is the year he kind of puts it together on the field?
There was a little bit of news from, I think, like the Ravens Live. It's another like channel that follows them. And they were talking about the Ravens want him. This is the opposite of like the JT situation when, they're giving them like Kyle Shanahan news where you could die next Sunday. Like, I don't even know if I'm going to be alive next Sunday, JT. Like, I don't even know. But like they're doing dinners with the guy. They're hanging out. They tell him they want there. And I'm sure they're probably like going to give him, I said this, I think they're going to give him a Deontay Johnson contract. Like a shut up, take your money kind of thing. Like here's like 2 years, maybe 3, something small to keep him happy. But he's good, right? And I think when people like hate Dobbins, they say, well, he can't be healthy. Well, he's just never had the opportunity to be healthy. He's just had a terrible injury. He just never came back. But they used him in the playoff game. I don't think this is the same reason why Gabe Davis got so much love. Like they used him where it mattered. And when your season's on the line. So I think Dobbins is someone I'm totally fine in on. I think he's going to get it together. The injury thing right now is all contract talks. Like the only cure for my absentitis is contract extension. So he's going to get that and he'll come back. We'll probably get a 2-year. It's probably going to be pretty. And then he's going to put up numbers. And right now with the other running backs that are going around him, like I don't want Rashad White. Like
I do. Give me Rashad White. Like I'll take all the Rashad White.
I'll probably take Akers over him for I think Akers is going to primed out, but there's a lot of questionableness right now. So I want Dobbins who on 15 touches has just if he does 15, you're getting some crazy numbers.
Joking me with nuked warfish, bazooka fish, scammers with grilled scorpion fish.
Yeah, these fishes that have like these awesome names. Like you said, they come out of steaks. They're no longer fish anymore.
Collapsing Death Star fish.
I feel like there's an objectively cool thing that's associated with just being good at pool. So like pool ace fish. That's just cool. Smoking a cigarette fish.
Pool shark steak. It's a term that already exists and is a fish.
Damn it. You're right.
I ate mahi-mahi for the first time with you, Tim. A lot of fish I ate for the first time with you. You took a lot of my fish virginity.
Yeah, it wasn't me though. I didn't do it.
Davis back on the clock. We'll see who he goes with. And Z2 in here saying Rashad White doesn't want to be on your team either, Peng. Me and Z2 will draft all the Rashad White. Tim, NKC wanted to know, is Tony a good pick? Kadarius Toney. It was looking like he was the hot wide receiver for the Chiefs in the offseason and then tore his meniscus and just had surgery, but might be ready for week 1. What's your heat check on Kadarius Toney?
Nope, don't want him.
Nope.
I mean, if this is best ball, I don't know. Is this best ball?
No.
No. Okay, then no. I don't want him. I don't want to guess.
I don't even want him at best ball. Like I have a bet against him. I have Michael Thomas doing more than Tony. two injured guys going against each other for who can play the most games this year.
True.
And
At this point, it's
Michael
who can play the
Thomas.
most games. You know.
Also, Scampers in here with Fishginity. Thank you, Scampers. Of course, that's what it's called. And JL said, please don't say fish virginity ever again. Sorry for saying it again. That's my bad. I did promise this would be a mostly family-friendly show. And I see we got Maria in here. What's up, Maria? Welcome in. Oh, God, I'm getting so nervous every time it's almost my pick. It's because it's too close to the actual draft season, so mock drafts are feeling a little more real right now. The Hall of Fame game last night with the power going out made it real. Were you guys watching?
I watched like part of it. I was eating wings, though, at my favorite bar. So football's back, baby.
That's the more important part of the Hall of Fame game.
I'm sorry, Baldur's Gate 3 came out. That's a little bit more important right now.
Oh, yeah.
Zach Wilson. Like I'm not too excited about Zach Wilson right now. I'm fine.
You didn't see Zach Wilson's 5 passes? It was incredible. Wow.
There was his over under bet was 67.5 yards, and he threw for 65. And it was like the most Zach Wilson like loss I think you could ever take because he went 3 for 5 or something.
Even in like what was
so
arguably a good performance for him, he still didn't quite hit the mark that was expected of him.
Yeah, it was amazing. I was like, that's such Zach Wilson.
Do you guys take anything out of these preseason games whenever you're watching them going into the fantasy season?
Only if my team does good, then we're going to win the whole thing. If we do bad, it's just the preseason.
Tim, you remember the season the Browns went 0-16, didn't win the game? They went 4-0 in the preseason, baby.
Domination.
They won every single one of those games. Peng, how much weight do you put into these preseason performances?
It's always one of those like feather in your cap situations. So people laugh, but like as a Dolphins fan, I actually watch my preseason games to kind of know who our like secondary, like third, our 4th and 5th options on the team are. So like I was very early on like Rashard Matthews and Mac Hollins because they're former Dolphins, and when they left, I was like, these guys are actually good, and the Dolphins just hate them, right? When they leave, it's going to be great. And like, but it's true. Like Rashard Matthews went to the Titans and was a darling for fantasy as a late guy. When Mac Hollins went to like the Raiders, he had a pretty solid like season for overall.
Does that mean you were all in on Preston Williams as well?
Preston Williams is a guy I was in on for our team for sure. I was like, and he, outside of injury, he was fine. But the minute he left our team, I was like, he wasn't as good as those other two because they were just better players than him. But I like preseason games just to know who we hate as an organization. Like guys that just never get onto the field but are like pretty good. Like Jordan Smythe, like Jordan Smythe and like Mac Hollins are like always guys in like our preseason. Mac Hollins has been our preseason hero, I think 2 years straight, and just never saw the field, like ever. So I do like knowing that. So in these random odd chances, these guys go to other teams. I'm like, that guy's actually decent. Like I like that. I like him moving. It's good for him.
Alan here, I'm guessing I'm sniping his guys. I just don't like any of the wide receivers sitting on the board right there, so I couldn't take them. I'm sorry, Hal. I just couldn't make it happen. Tim, for some reason, I didn't piece 2 and 2 together that it's a double Dolphins fan show today. Whenever I think of the Dolphins, for some reason, the player that pops first is Jarvis Landry. And I know that's not the Dolphins player that should pop into my mind first, but that's where he lives. That's the jersey I see him in, and that's the player I see in the Dolphins jersey when I picture it.
He looked good in it, man. Dolphins fans love Jarvis Landry.
We
do. We love him. We never want him to leave. We just didn't want to pay him the money. Yeah. I think even as a fan base, we were like, that's a lot of money to ask for a guy like or a slot receiver. I wanted AJ Dillon, but that's okay.
Z2 said Simon sniped me with the P. Ryan pick. Gotcha, Z2. That's what you get. That must have been a big fart from Atlas, Tim.
Yeah.
Do you remember? It reminds me of that time in yoga that I shrugged and then farted, and then you fell over because of said fart in the middle of a quiet yoga room.
Oops.
College yoga class. And we got credit hours for that. That was an A on our transcript just for bending and farting once a week.
I got an A in yoga and 2 A's in Pilates.
And I got an A in shag class, and I dropped archery. Peng, where'd you go with that one? You got sniped on AJ Dillon, but you switched and went Rashad Bateman. Do you think he's the one in that offense, even with all the new wide receivers coming in? I mean, after Andrews, of course.
Probably not. I actually think Zay Flowers is better than him.
Year one, you think Zay Flowers takes it?
I think Zay won. Like Zay is probably gonna be better than him in the long run. Bateman also health issues to me. Coming from a Michael Thomas drafter, I know it's a little weird, the health issues, but he's younger and he really hasn't played much. I don't even know what kind of player he is. He was used in 2 different ways this rookie to sophomore season. Rookie year, he was more possessional. Sophomore year was a deep guy. I don't know what he's going to do. I just know that that's a very, very like strong receiving core and a very good quarterback. So if things do swing correctly, like I think Bateman will be fine. And he's kind of late now, so it's not the end of the world. And it's between him and a couple others. Like it was him and like Cortland Sutton. Those are the only 2 guys there I think I would be interested in. I think there's a tier drop after that.
I just keep hoping that some wide receiver names that aren't there now are going to suddenly show up, and I'll be happier about the options a couple rounds later. And Craig said, would not be an FYF draft if someone did not snipe someone else on P. Ryan. It's a tradition, though we are missing someone in the chat throwing dirty P. Ryan team names in there. That's happened every other time. Tommy must not be here. Damian Harris. Are you scared about maybe the potential addition of more running backs into that room, or do you think Damian Harris and James Cook are the guys who got it unlocked?
I think there is someone that's probably going to get added, but I don't think that matters. Damian Harris is good. Outside of health concerns, he's been very good. He's a one-cut back. Powers through. Likely he's going to get all the red zone over James Cook. Like, that's fine. And I feel like he's my 3rd running back. I'm probably plugging him in on bye weeks. It's fine.
And Tim, I just saw who you drafted. We got 2 Dolphins fans here, but you're the one who got Devon Achane. I ask you every time you draft him, and I'm going to ask you again. Does your excitement continue growing the longer they don't sign someone like Dalvin Cook there?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, if he can stay clean and clear, then yeah, obviously I like him a lot. And PPR, sure, why not?
Yeah, that was like the prime landing spot for a running back in the NFL draft this year, right? It was like the team that we were talking about, whoever lands in Miami, and there they drafted Devon Achane. Peng, are you I know you're a Dolphins fan. Are you drafting a lot of Devon Achane outside of that fandom?
No, I'm not drafting a lot of A-Chain right now. I think he's probably a year out just because Mostert, Wilson are there. I think that Mostert gets probably a lot of the first run. I think in best ball, I kind of like it more. I think in redraft, where I have to figure out when I can start him, that's tougher. But as a actual fan base, love it. A-Chain's the highest running back we've drafted since Lamar Miller. We've never drafted an RB high, even in the 3rd, let alone being their only 2 early picks. We've never done it. So it just tells you we want him. As I would be sold. I wish our O-line was a little bit better, but A-Chain doesn't need one apparently based on the footage I've been watching on his
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It might be a year out. Keeper league, I would draft him. Dynasty, I would draft him. It would be fun. I think best ball is a little expensive. He's going like 60 picks earlier than his counterparts, and I think he's going to share 3 ways anyways. But man, as a fan base, I'm excited. Like we just don't take running backs. We take like Kalen Balaj and Jay Ajayi off the 5 knee surgeries, and Frank Gore and Arian Foster and Noshawn Moraine, like these guys that like we should not have on our teams. And as Tim knows, like it's been rough.
Yeah, it's fun to be excited for once. And he's so fast. Just give him the ball and let him go.
I'm so excited for the Dolphins this year. I am so in on Tua. Swamp in here wants to know, Tim, what's your favorite pick I made? Check out Swamp's team and tell him what your favorite pick is. Else.
I like a lot of them. I'm on Raw. I was going to take Gibbs if you didn't. First 3 picks, I think you nailed it. I believe a little bit more in Chris Godwin and Mike Evans than I think consensus does. So I like the Chris Godwin pick as well. Alvin Kamara after the game. Yeah, Alvin Kamara after 3-game suspension. He's going to be a stud. So, I mean, I think your team's pretty scary. Scary good.
I love the Ridley pick, man.
Yeah.
Like Ridley, 4th round Ridley and a full PPR, dude, sign me up.
Where did Kurt go in relation to Ridley? There's Ridley, Kirk after, or a couple rounds after, beginning of the 6th round there, 6-1. Peng, do you prefer Ridley at, where did Ridley go? 4-3 or Kirk at 6-1?
Kirk at 6-1?
Yeah. So like Kirk at the beginning of the 6th or Ridley at the beginning of the 4th?
Oh, I would have got Kirk. I'm sorry, Ridley. Ridley we get the 4th. I think Ridley is just straight up a better player. I don't even is remotely close. Size, speed, usability in the red zone. I think Ridley has it all. Kirk was force fed a ton last year, and he had games where they were just bad, like 2 for like 9, things like that. Kirk is a better 2 than he is a 1, and I think that's just how I see it. Ridley, even being out of the league, I was never the biggest Ridley guy on the 1-2 turn a couple years ago. But you're talking about a 4 with a Trevor Lawrence, not a old past MVP Matt Ryan, dude. That's it. Like I'm willing to bet like Calvin Ridley like 1,100 yards. Mm-hmm. Not a qualm in my mind like that occurs.
We had a question from Twin in here saying last season there were value tight ends in the late rounds like Komet, who finished tight end 7. Who are the value tight ends this year? Tim, do you have any secret tight ends you're drafting late?
I mean, Darren Waller was the guy, but now he's creeping way up the boards. I think Schultz has a good opportunity down there in Houston. It's not going to be too great an offense, but there aren't too many stellar weapons down there. So I think he might be a good safety net for a rookie. And you know what? I may as well do this now then. I will take Dulcich. I like him too. He's a lot of fun.
You gotta like the guys that have the same hairstyle as you. It makes sense.
For sure.
God, his hair is sick. It's aspirational to hope that you get Dulcich's hair. Peng, who are your late round tight ends this year that you've been drafting a lot of? I think you mentioned Dulcich earlier, along with some others.
Dulcich for sure, man. Like that's one of them for me. Funny enough, Komet. Like people are very off Komet this year. He's even further down than he was last year. And I wasn't too in on Komet. I thought he was a nice pick, but a lot of guys ran him in best ball teams as like 2 tight ends. And I remember seeing it one tweet that someone said like, "Oh, I'm just gonna grab 2 tight ends and I'm gonna grab Komet as my tight end 1 and then somebody else because that's gonna be enough." And I got like extremely triggered and decided to like write a whole thread in an article based on like how that is bad and how you're underthinking tight ends and you're just not thinking they're good, which ended up being proven true because George Kittle won like Best Ball Mania and won drafters. He won all those major tournaments like George Kittle did. And so like Komet though this year is a guy I really like. I think he's a better 3rd option than he is a 2 option. Some tight ends aren't meant to be the guy, right? You're not, we've seen this. Coby Fleener cannot go out there for $10 million a year and be your number 1. This is not how that works. But Komet becoming the 3 behind.
You sure?
Huh?
You sure Coby Fleener doesn't have that dog in him somewhere?
Yeah, but it's true though. Like people always think that like because this guy's like the next guy up and he moved up a spot that he just gets good. No, like sometimes you just aren't good as a wide receiver 1 or 2.
Sometimes you're just Gary Barnidge, and that's just who you are, and that's okay.
Devontae Adams on his first wide receiver 1 year, he was terrible. People forget like how bad he was when Jordy Nelson got hurt and he had to step in to be the 1. He just wasn't ready. But Komet, I think, as a 3, behind Mooney, behind Moore, he's going to have these really good mismatches. I think he's a great pickup after Dulcich. Like I'll grab Dulcich, Higbee, and like Komet, and I'll be so stoked in best ball because that's exactly where I want to be.
Scampers in here said, "Damn it, Tim!" Snipe. Also, an NKC wanted to know when is the FYF Fantasy League draft. NKC, we do not have the listener league set up yet, but in the coming weeks there will be more information about how you'll be able to get an entry into it and ways you can participate in the timing of that. So we'll make sure to keep you updated on stream, and then it'll be on our Twitter and our Discord as well. And then Twin down here with reminding you that there's other ways that we play as well. I know Joey did an Eliminator League last season. We're always doing other stuff. We do mocks like this all the time. So keep your eyes peeled for any other leagues that we may be doing as it approaches the season.
I'm surprised y'all didn't mention the fact that I took Justin Ross so early. All aboard the hype train, baby. Let's go.
That just, it looked so natural right there, Tim, that I was like, oh yeah. Oh shoot, I got 20 seconds. No.
I mean, it's late round, right? Like who really cares? You got to take these pop shots in redraft. If you're in a redraft, like I'm digging. I dig for Cooper Kupp his rookie year. I digged for like just some random guys. Like I'm just like, And if it hits, it's like really well done because we already know what Tyler Boyd is, right? Like we already know where he's at, and it's relying on injuries. We already know where like some guys are. I would rather have Hyatt over some of these like DJ Shark because we know what DJ Shark is. I think I totally love that pick. Actually.
Hey, but we don't know what DJ Shark in Carolina with a rookie quarterback is. So it could be even worse.
As long as he stays in the shadow of Thielen.
Sit in the shadow of Adam Thielen.
Yeah.
It's a slow-moving shadow at this point. That shadow's not flying anywhere. I feel the 2 wide receivers I took before that, Peng, I feel like it fits exactly the kind of guy. Like they just felt so boring drafting Allen Lazard and Jacoby Myers. Yeah. Like I was just looking at the names after. I was like, I don't know, but I just took guys that I felt like there was points available should something happen to one of the wide receivers I drafted in the early rounds, but they don't feel inspiring. You mentioned earlier the opportunity in front of Garrett Wilson, and part of that is the lack of competition that Allen Lazard provides. Do you think he gets anywhere close to his Green Bay numbers here in New York?
Sure. Lazard's one of my guys in preseason. I think down the stretch, I've kind of fallen down a little bit, but the tier gap is huge. We know Aaron Rodgers like has his guys, right? There's a reason why Randall Cobbs is collecting checks right now. We know there's a reason why there's, was it Mercedes Lewis is or whatever the case, all these guys. But Lazard actually isn't bad. And this is kind of going back to some guys just aren't meant to be ones. And I think Lazard was like a good example of I'm not ready to be a 1. I'm probably never going to be a 1. But I'm a good 2. Like he can stretch the field. He's good in the slot. He's like 6'5". He's a big dude. And he actually wasn't bad. If he didn't miss games last year, he was on pace for like 1,000 yards and like 8 touchdowns and etc. Outside health concerns, like I don't think it's an ugly pick at all. But a team that needs wide receivers, I mean, in this case, we only have 3 before him. Yeah, I would pick up guys like Lazard. He has red zone upside. I mean, we know that. I know people think Aaron Rodgers uses tight end, but he really doesn't. He'll use his wide receivers more than he'll use those. Like I think Lazard's like a 2 on this team, and that's nice. That's a good 2 to have.
Mm-hmm.
It's there's no excitement in my heart when I draft him though, and I like
no, of course
not like when you draft Justin Ross to your team, baby.
I mean, the Marvin Mims pick is like super cool that you took. Like that's fun. That's like a very fun pick.
That one was way more fun. That one was to make up for the Jacoby Myers and Allen Lazard lack of fun pick. It was like, no, this next one has to be the most fun wide receiver I could draft here. And that's right. Peng, as you may or may not have been able to tell, Tim and I are in on Justin Ross this year. Where do you stand? The reports coming out of training camp say he's taking more and more snaps with first team. Is he someone you've been targeting in best ball? And I imagine his ADP is probably rising a bit now.
He's still on the bottom. Am I targeting him? I think at the bottom it's like fine. I haven't really taken a lot of them. I'd like to. I also think that with Justin Ross's situation, being a big Chief, it's hard. I think Chief receivers just don't get the go as we expect they should. So I'm never like too sold. But in best ball specifically, week 17, we're talking about week 17 because that's the money week, all that fun stuff. Like I would grab him if I had like a Patrick Mahomes team, if I had a couple of the Bengals for that bring back. Yeah, why not? Like he's around 17 to 18 guy. You should have somebody there if you literally believe that Kadarius Toney doesn't show up. If you don't like MVS, if you think the narrative of Andy Reid hates rookie wide receivers, yeah, take him because he is there on 2 years and he's getting first team reps now. Like that's what you need to see. Round 18, and look at Patrick Mahomes' track record of making wide receivers randomly relevant. There's like 15 guys, like at this point. There's like Albert Wilson, there's like DeMarcus Robinson, Brian Pringle, Justin Watson, Noah Gray. Like there's literally a buffet line list of people that he's had good games with.
Yeah, being a wide receiver in a Patrick Mahomes offense that's getting even somewhat consistent targets is a pretty good thing. Z2 in here said, Simon read my mind, or the command, Simon, read my mind. Disgusting, Z2. JL's in here and said, I can't tell you how many times I think it's going to be a number 1 and it ends up being a number 2. That's why you always sit just in case. Because that's the worst when it happens at a urinal.
Uh-oh.
I thought it was going to, I've been doing this my whole life. And
This is
now
like-
all of a sudden it's this one instead of this one.
That's the worst 50-50 question you could ever had. Is this number 1 or number 2? Like, I don't know.
There was like a scandal at my elementary school because someone pooped in one of the urinals and they couldn't figure out who it was.
South
But
Park?
it never happened again. So we think it was truly unaware that they shouldn't have pooped in the urinal. And once it was called out, never did it again. Don't think it was a prank because it stopped after one time. No serial pooper.
Let's do.
Usually drop the deuce in the urinal. That's funny.
Let's do
I couldn't
this.
imagine like trying that. It just seems off.
So Anthony said I'm weeks late, but saw Oppenheimer opening week, and that movie is amazing. Have either of you guys seen Oppenheimer yet?
No, I was thinking about seeing it today, but instead I stood in line at a new donut shop for like an hour and got
How was it?
7 donuts. I got 5 more, and they all look incredible. Like, they all look so good.
But they're so rich where like you can only eat one. It's one of those kind of donuts.
Yeah, I have a tiramisu one that just the stuff on top is like what you imagine eating a cloud would be like. A cloud over Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Like just it's like floaty, delightful heaven. I can't wait. I haven't eaten anything except donuts today.
It always happens to me because I go to the donut store and I'm like, I can't pick. I'll just get a lot.
Yeah.
And then I eat nothing but donuts for 2.5 days, and the acid reflux I have is just awful at the end of it.
Dude, they have a special funnel cake with peaches on it. Oh my God. Georgia peaches on a funnel cake. Come on, get out of here.
Mess me up. Peng, you mentioned it earlier, not being in on a chain, and you put your draft pick where your money is or mouth is or whatever that saying is, and drafted Jeff Wilson. Is Wilson the guy you prefer over Raheem Mostert if you're taking a Dolphins running back?
Yes, like 100%. I mean, he showed up to the team last year mid-season off a trade and then put up like a couple hundred yards for us and a couple touchdowns. That hasn't had the injury concern that Raheem has. I think he's going to be that guy. And they gave him a bigger contract, a longer contract. It's totally fine with me. My team needed the RB anyways. I'm not gonna lie, I was staring at Daniel Jones and I'm like, wait, this isn't best ball. Like I don't need 2 quarterbacks. I was sitting there staring at Daniel Jones for like a good 30 seconds. I was like, oh wait, that's wrong. I do think Daniel Jones should have been drafted though. It's just weird to me that he's not.
How many times do you think Daniel Jones has had that experience? Someone stares at him for 30 seconds and then goes, that's wrong.
No, that's wrong. I love me some Daniel Jones, man. He was one of my guys last year. There we go.
Hey.
And he's on the he's division in the same division. Jalen Hurts versus Daniel Jones.
There he is. And Mr. Scamper says, my team is stacked. Good draft, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and draft with us. And Peng, thank you so much for coming and imparting some of your mini drafts worth of knowledge onto us on this Friday. Appreciate it.
It's gonna be very embarrassing when I come back next year and be like, yeah, I lost in all of those. It's crazy. I lost in all of those guys, all those drafts.
No, because next year you'll be talking about the draft you're in then, and you can just completely brush over it.
Mhm.
These are the lessons I learned. You know, like, these are the
Yeah, you're always a lessons learned guy.
It's amazing how many lessons are available.
My superhero's name is Hindsight.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like all these lessons. Please sign up for my my classes that I have subscription based for how to draft.
Lessons learned with Davis Peng. My journey through best ball year after year. Well, guys, that is going to be it for us today. And truly, if you are not following Davis, go and follow him right now. You can find him on Twitter at Peng's Picks. It's right there below his face on the screen. And again, it's in the description of this YouTube video. Tim, thank you so much as always for taking the time to join us this Friday as well.
Always happy to be here. Favorite
And
part of the day.
Peng, it truly brings joy to my heart when I get to stream with you. So thank you for taking the time to come and hang out with us.
Of course, man. Anytime you guys let me know, I'm gonna be here immediately. I'll take off work, man. Well, you have no idea.
Suck it, work. We win. Well, guys, that is going to be it for us today on this Friday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We will be back on Monday with some more fantasy football game show fun. Until then, though, adios, everyone. See ya on another time.
Woo, happy birthday.
Yeah.